Everyone knows of the legendary Indominus Rex, but not everyone knows of its sibling, or how it never actually died at birth, its relation to its sister, its escape, and ultimately what actually happened to it. It's all told to us through official sources if you know where to look. So hold on to your butts as we uncover the secrets of the Indominus Rex sibling and how it escaped in Jurassic World, with today's video being sponsored by Squarespace, but more on them later. Now I know many of you thinking that the Indominus Rex cannibalized its sibling at birth. This is simply not true. Both Indominuses did hatch within the same day and at the same point during 2012 on Isla Nublar and Jurassic World, but the one Indominus Rex sibling didn't eat the other one at birth. Many of it was covered up by InGen, but I have learned the truth and I'm going to share it with you today. Now, as you know, I've done Indominus Rex sibling videos in the past, and if you've watched those, which I highly recommend you do after this, you'll know that the one Indominus Rex was obviously the white Indominus, and the sibling Indominus coloration was actually black. Or so I originally thought. Having conducted further research, she's actually a darkish grey. And you might be thinking, well, Shadows, it doesn't show that in the movie. How are you getting all this information? Well, I'll explain and reveal all that later on. Let me continue the story. Now, the creation of the Indominus Rexes was authorized on 2008 by Masrani Global Corporation's CEO, Simon Masrani. And despite Jurassic World's website stating that the species originated in the Hammond Creation Lab, this simply isn't true. The Hammond Creation Lab was open to the public. They were actually thought up and kept in the Field Genetics Lab, since that was off limits to the public and where Henry Wu had previously conducted experiments for the first ever hybrid E750, or as we know it, the Scorpius Rex, which was the direct predecessor to the Indominus. Now this is where things get really interesting, because after they hatched, they were both fitted with an RFID tracking implant, which would basically constantly update the Jurassic World computer network of the dinosaur's location and biometrics. And as we know, in the Jurassic World film, the white Indominus Rex actually claws this implant out, but that's something we'll talk about later. And these implants were actually designed to shock them if they came too close to other park attractions.
The implant will shock it if it gets too close to a perimeter fence.
Now, from the day they hatched, which was 2012, up until a point in November 2014, nothing is known about their life. There's no story told in any documentation, nothing was recorded on his existence. Not even the makeup of his genome was released to any of the employees. Henry Wu wouldn't even give that information to Masrani himself, who was the CEO of Masrani Global Corporation itself.
You know that I'm not at liberty to reveal the asset's genetic makeup. Modified animals are known to be unpredictable.
Just kill people, Henry.
Which tells me there's something else going on behind the scenes. Henry Wu was also working for another company potentially. And how do I know that to be the case in factual? Well, as we know, Hoskins, who's actually working for another company, InGen, and secretly working for Biocen as well, ensures Henry Wu escapes Jurassic World on a helicopter with his research, and where Henry Wu actually says, "Is our deal still intact?" indicating that he was indeed working for another party. Now I might be thinking, what has this got to do with the Indominus Rexes? Well, it actually shows us that Masrani didn't know what was being made, what it was made up of, and whether it was ethical or not. Did they use human DNA in the Indominus Rexes? That isn't something we're going to talk about in today's video because we've covered that in the past. So during that period from 2012 to 2014, the Indominus Rex siblings actually would have been in the same paddock together, paddock 11. But this wasn't always the case, and the Indominus Rex siblings, or twins, for a brief moment in time, actually was out and escaped into the park. Now that sentence right there is mind-blowing in itself, and there's literally no information out there. It doesn't even say this at all in Jurassic World, the film, but it does actually come from an official source. And you might be wondering why this was never documented. Well, if you think back to what Simon Masrani says in Jurassic World.
This is Control, put out a park-wide alert.
Hang up that damn phone, please.
Sorry, I'm getting new information. Everything's fine.
Let asset containment capture it quietly. The very existence of this park is predicated on our ability to handle incidents like this. It was an eventuality. Okay?
He actually doesn't want anyone to be alerted that the original Indominus Rex escaped, which was fully grown at that point, by the way. So the fact that these early young Indominuses left their paddocks, if that got out to the public, it would ruin Jurassic World. Now, I know, that's a lot of information to take in already, that the Indominuses actually escaped their paddocks. Well, escaped is a strong word, because they didn't actually escape. They were taken. Yep, they were actually stolen by a chap called Robbie. Now, the timeline of events on this is very hazy to say at the least. We would know it would have been just after they'd hatched because they were literally baby dinosaurs. Well, I say baby, they were probably about 2 foot tall and could more than do enough damage to any type of animal, even a person. Actual information I've got from my research is the fact that they were fighting from the moment they hatched out of their eggs. They were constantly fighting. And it wasn't because they wanted to eat each other, it was literally because they wanted to intimidate and control each other. The dominance factor. But who stole them? Why did they steal them? Who are they working for? How did they get past security? How long were they even in the park? And what happened to the guy? Don't worry, all this will be answered and I'll explain where I got this information from. But before we tackle what happened to the Indominus Rex sibling, I wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsor Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform which makes it extremely easy to build and manage a website. It has everything you need if you're planning on opening your own dinosaur merch website, launching paleontology courses, or even blog about that time you went hunting for dinosaur fossils. It has everything you need and award-winning templates to help you set everything up, so you can design a website quicker than hatching a dinosaur egg. I can't recommend enough that you start your free trial on the platform today, and then when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/shadows and use code SHADOWS to get 10% off your purchase of a website or domain. And now back to how the Indominus Rex sibling actually escaped. Because like I said, they technically didn't escape. They were stolen by a guy named Robbie. Now I'll give you all the sources on the information at the end. Let me continue the story. So Robbie was working as Mr. Masrani's PA and learned of the existence of these 2 Indominus Rexes. Shortly after they hatched, he had a great plan to transport them off the island and sell them to an unknown purchaser. This plan had taken him 4 years in the making. It started in 2008 when Masrani ordered the creation of the new Indominus Rex project. And after they hatched in 2012, Robbie saw his chance. You see, at this point the Indominus Rexes were still in the hatchery in a small space. They hadn't been transported to the paddock yet. And as such, security was still tight, but not tight enough. Robbie bundles both the white and dark grey Indominus Rex in makeshift transport boxes, ready to leave the island. He creates a diversion for the security team not to notice by short-circuiting the Pachycephalosaurus chips and causing them to go roaming outside of their designated area, much like we see in the original Jurassic World. With security now busy, and him obviously being Masrani's PA, he's free to walk around Jurassic World as he pleases. So he takes the Indominus Rex twins, a jeep, and heads towards the dock. But the Indominus Rex twins were much more intelligent than he'd ever thought. You see, just like in the movie, they go invisible and he thinks they've escaped. This is the first time they've ever done so, and he opens the cages of both Indominuses. And this is where things take a really interesting turn, because the Indominus Rex twins do attack Robbie, but they don't kill him, although they could have easily done so. You see, the white Indominus pounces on Robbie, maims him, goes to deliver the final blow, but the grey Indominus decides to attack the white, again wanting to show that dominance. They didn't want the white Indominus to take the kill. The grey Indominus wanted the kill for himself. The grey Indominus charges at the white, hitting her off of Robbie, and thus they start fighting to control each other. In the midst of this confusion, Robbie heads back into his jeep because he'd been hit from the driver's seat out of the jeep and on the floor. He scrambles back into the jeep and drives off. The 2 Indominuses are still fighting at this stage when the security team realise that the 2 Indominus Rex babies / juveniles are missing from their hatchery. They inform Claire, and Claire consults where they are with their tracking implants. They see them on the main road which is heading towards the dock. And this is where they shock the twins, immobilising them, and bring out the ACU to capture them. And this is how the Indominus Rex, well specifically the white Indominus Rex, remembers where they put the chip / track implant in, because she had felt the shock. She knew where it was. It wasn't from memory when they put it in when she was a baby, it was from this experience. ACU arrive at the scene of the Indominus Rex juveniles, pick them up as they're subdued, bring them back to the hatchery, and it's at this point they decide to put them both in paddock 11. Now again, it's worth pointing out that this was a few weeks after they hatched in 2012, so realistically she could have cannibalized her sibling at any point when they were in that paddock together, over a period of 24 months. And in all honesty, the way they conducted themselves with each other from birth, they were constantly fighting and bickering. It wasn't for food, it was was literally for intimidation and controlling purposes. My thought process is they would have been in there for a lengthy amount of time and grown to a face size before they commenced battle with each other and the white killed the grey. And if you want to know all about their life in the paddock, with more details I haven't shared in this video on why it killed his sibling, etc., check out this video here. But you might be wondering where I've got all this information from. Now, this backstory with the Indominus Rex siblings being taken and showing their behaviours is all true and from an official Jurassic World source, believe it or not. Now, it does come from a Lego Jurassic World source, which kind of renders a soft canon, but the information it gives definitely lines up with what we see in parts of the movie and gives a great backstory to the Indominus Rex siblings, and kind of explains why she cannibalized the other. Although there are instances which don't line up, and let me explain. Now, everything I've told about the Indominus Rex's siblings' behavior is mimicked in the movie. Them intimidating and controlling each other makes sense, and this Lego Special Edition shows and showcases that perfectly. What it doesn't showcase, and what I kind of embellished a little bit on this story, is Robbie's behavior, how he takes the Indominus Rex twins, and what happens to him. I modified that story to make it more engaging when I told this narrative. He does steal them, but he doesn't steal them as young adults. He steals the eggs, which doesn't fit with the Jurassic World movie, so I changed that. It's very much how you have the Jurassic Park the game story with the Barbasol can being destroyed, but then comes back in Camp Cretaceous. There are elements of Jurassic Park the game which are great and would be considered soft canon and we like to use in Jurassic Park lore, and it's the same with this Lego Double Trouble Special Edition episode. There are certain bits which you can take and think, yeah, that definitely works, and there are other bits where you think, no, that definitely wouldn't work. It's very much like FNAF and the lore FNAF. You can take stuff from the books, piece it to the games, and vice versa. But nevertheless, it gives us a great look into the Indominus Rex siblings and their behaviour. Which leads me to another question. Why did the Indominus Rex not attack and kill Toro? Because it kills and attacks everything else on the island, apart from the raptors. Why did it flee and not attack the Carnotaurus? I have the answers to that in a video on my channel, and I'd like to thank my YouTube members, which are on screen now. Thank you guys, and a special mention to my research executive, DVM Wannabe 1018. You guys keep the power on in the park and make sure them fences don't go down. And can I solve every Jurassic Park and world-related mystery? You bet your ass I can. Catch you later.